Yeah, it took me a little while to just kind of realize and be aware of my rhythms, of when I felt most creative. Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily fit into 9 to 5 for me,
No.
and so if I can get up at 4:30 and knock so much stuff out, and things like that. And then sometimes I'll even come back at night if I feel like it. But in the olden days, I used to, or if like somebody would email me at 11 o'clock at night, I'd respond. Learning boundaries as well with clients. Yeah. Took me a little longer than it should have, but that's a game changer. But yeah, and I think too, moving daily had also just kind of having that structure of like when I'm going to work, when I'm going to kind of move, when I have to do other errands or things like that. And then just kind of experimenting until I figured out what worked for me. I think, like you said, it can feel overwhelming and not quite sure what to do. And then it's like, oh, I should be working from 9 to 5. But, that is part of the freedom that we wanted when we started our own thing.
I love the acronym as well. So what decided, because obviously you've already got a podcast, what made you think, do you know what, I want to spin off another one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just kind of all of this same stuff that we're talking about, kind of like our life journeys. And so what I've kind of learned along the way, and it's really interesting because it makes me feel really slightly uncomfortable because I'm not the greatest at communicating it, but I want more people to understand that, that they have total control of their lives, even if it feels like you might not at that any given moment. And what we can do to keep doing stuff like that. So, and the worthiness aspect, like the abundance, things like that. And I see too, a lot of younger kids these days too, struggling with things like this, especially ones, I don't know, like sports isn't how it was when we grew up,
No.
And I understand, like, we do want to play to have fun. That's great. But winning makes you feel good too. And like, that's the whole point of a sport. And I don't know, it just kind of like blurring all of these lines of maybe, because my kids are, coming into that age where they're going to start, dealing with other things. And so I just want maybe them to have a strong foundation too. And anybody else too, that's going through anything. So.
No, I think that's good. And I absolutely agree. Like, winning's a big part of it, right? I mean, I think now everybody, it always seems like everybody's equal, or you still win if you came last. It's like, no, listen,
but
there's not 3 first place. There's 1, and that's it.
That is a good question. I think just being, joyful and peaceful and helping people and leaving a legacy for my kids. And living a long, happy life, both personally and professionally.
Yeah, I like that. So what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, yeah, same thing. I want my kids to know that they can do whatever they put their mind to, that they can get through hard things. And yeah, also just, when my parents passed away, they didn't quite leave a great financial picture to look at. So breaking that kind of pattern, I guess, in my family. So.
Hey guys, are you feeling burnt out or wanting a quick break away from the daily grind? Well, our friends over at Cyro Boca Place offer the ultimate destination for those seeking a blend of luxury wellness, adventure, and restoration. If you know me, you know I'm fully invested in health and well-being. So if you don't prioritize yourself first, how are you supposed to be showing up for others around you? Looking for an experience like this, head over to www.cyrohotels.com. Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Boardroom. I am your host, Luke Beastall, and I have a female entrepreneur on our show today, and she comes all the way from the United States of America. Now, she's an owner of a marketing agency. Her name is Nicole, and we had met through social media, which I think there is a lot of power in it, even though we can sort of complain about in today's society. With her in her marketing, she had a bit of adversity where one of her businesses, which we will actually touch on, I'm sure later in this episode, that didn't quite make it. But then again, didn't stop her from showing up and creating a new agency where now she's actually got a small, and she says in her terms, but mighty team of 4 that help in particularly small business owners. So we're going to sort of go through her life's journey, see kind of what brought her to this place today and what she ultimately loves doing beyond work.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. What sort of caught my attention was, in your sort of life, you have, you faced what probably most people may never experience in their life,
Mm-hmm.
which I've got massive respect for you on that, how you've sort of come out the other side.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we're stronger than we realize, right?
Yeah, definitely. And for the audience checking in here, I know it's sort of a bit of a deep open piece to start on, but I think this is what will tie in the story. Well, what did you have to sort of navigate and go through in your life?
Yeah. So started a small business in 2007. An organic farm and brewery was doing really great. We lived in a pretty rural area where we live. Grew that, and I actually didn't ever think I'd be an entrepreneur. I wanted to like work in corporate, but that's a side thing. So we did that, grew it really pretty fast, and was successful. But our neighbors weren't as excited, and so got like a cease and desist, went through a whole legal battle, like a public hearing, everything, and we ended up
Oh,
closing
wow.
our doors. Yeah, that was a crazy summer. Our kids were super little at the time. I think my son was 1, my daughter was 4. So going through all that, ended up closing the doors. And then about a year later, my dad passed away from cancer. He had had cancer previously, but it came back, and we lost him in 9 days from when it came back. So that was one more, kind of rug, and then being ripped out. And then about a year after that, a little over a year after that, my mom also passed away from cancer. So those 3 years were pretty rocky. So just, yeah, kind of learning to keep going no matter how small the step might be, kind of rebounding from all of that. And then I started my marketing agency in 2016. And so I've been helping businesses across the globe, really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, thank you for sort of like sharing. I know it's only like a snippet, and again through that 3 years, like you say, very tough. And I know it will
Mhm.
always be hard to articulate it clearly through this episode. But that I mean, I can't obviously imagine. I'm obviously very sorry for sort of those losses in such a short space of time. I just love to know just from you, because obviously you are an entrepreneur. You've got this resilience. You've got probably more mental toughness than maybe you realized,
Mhm.
to sort of work through this very tough period. What helped you the most through that 3-year period? What kept you going?
Yeah. Well, so I've always been an athlete. Like I played soccer my entire life, even through college,
Nice.
but transitioned obviously away from that. And I kind of started getting into running just in on my own as a way to kind of grieve and get out of the house, a little fresh air. Like I think I mentioned this on our call before too. I had some pretty unhealthy habits before even just starting to do that. Like we had a big Irish wake, all of that. But just kind of started to get into running as a way of just dealing with whatever feelings I was feeling that day. And then eventually, about 2 years after that, a friend of mine asked me to do a David Goggins challenge where, you run 4 miles every 4 miles for 48 hours. And at first I was like, you're nuts. Like I wouldn't be able to do that. Um, but then went through it, and just once I was in it, decided I was going to finish. And that perspective of finishing that really changed how I dealt with my grieving, and how I changed my perspective of the world. How, we can put ourselves through mentally and physically tough things, and just understanding how we adapt to them and how we're able to come out on the other side, even if it's not pretty, for sure, just helped me realize that I could get through a lot of really hard things. And that really was like a turning point, I think, in my healing process.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, massively. I think I bet you sort of still chat to your friend and say thank you for that challenge. I was sort of not too sure what I would do. Did you do it together? Was it, or did?
We did it virtually because he lives in Florida and I live in
Right.
Oregon.
Okay. Okay.
But coincidentally, his brother passed away from cancer as well. So we had a very
I
close
see.
bond of, you know, what we were going through at the same time.
Was it like a fundraiser? Did you do like a raise awareness or anything, or did you just decide just to do it as a bit of accountability for each other? Or
Yeah, kind of accountability, but it did. David Goggins does, but that is a whole fundraiser for fallen heroes, so soldiers, since
okay,
David Goggins was in the military. So
yes,
yeah, it's around a whole fundraiser that he puts on.
yeah, wow, no, that's amazing. I love hearing stuff like this. I really do, Nicole. Absolutely amazing. So when you said your perspective changed, like the world view, like what you saw before, like that sort of challenge, and then what
Mhm.
you kind of saw after stepping over that finish line, what was the biggest shift?
Yeah. So I guess it was a parallel for me as, as you're running at like 1:30 in the morning, like, why am I doing this? My body hurts. I should be sleeping, all of these things. In parallel to going through something really hard, it was like, okay, I'm here. I feel like I can't go anymore. But then you keep going. Like something in me at least, like it unlocked some sort of level that I didn't really realize was there. So even though I think I've gotten to the end of like I can't really go through anymore, just kind of taking a look inside and being like, you can keep going. Just don't give up yet. And then I've found also too, sometimes like the path kind of opens up even though you're not quite sure where you're going to next. But as long as you keep moving forward.
This is your sort of, I guess, review on it, your sort of reflection upon that challenge. I mean, obviously I can really feel that shaped you. That's given you that new lease of life in a way, but it kicked everything off for you. I mean, look, I know it's, I guess, sort of like I say, a sad thing to sort of go back onto, but I guess there's a lot of euphoria feeling for it as well. You sort of wanted to live your life and not sort of, I mean, you grieve, yes, but you sort of wanted to move forwards. If there's
Right.
people listening in on this episode and, they've sort of lost a family member or lost a close friend or anybody in there to something such as if it's cancer or even just a very immediate sort of passing, what
Mhm.
would you say to them really that possibly could help them? Like, because you've gone through an experience, what really sort of helped you, come out the other side and try and be as, I guess, as positive as possible?
Yeah, for me, for going through that challenge, I kind of grew up in a household where it was like a victim mentality and scarcity and kind of more limiting beliefs.
Okay.
And going through that kind of helped me realize that one, not only I can do really hard things, but two, it's all up to my mindset on how I'm going to approach this, whether it's the challenge itself or losing the business and having to start all over from scratch, just realizing that like I had so much power on how I wanted to perceive things and go forward.
Yeah, it does. It does. What I'm so sort of like commending you on is the fact that obviously you said you had some bad habits. Probably you did drink a little bit and stuff like that. Got over that, obviously, initial emotional attachment or coping mechanism, if you want to call it. And then you sort of moved into building up something inside of you. And then your friends sort of come along and then brought this challenge to you. So do you think you would have done something like that if it wasn't for your friend?
That's a great question. I really don't know. He is also just the one in general that I didn't really know who David Goggins was before that. And so and I really, for whatever reason, maybe it's because my dad was in the Marines, have really connected with his style of how he talks and lives his life. But yeah, I don't know that I would have done that without being asked to do it.
This is a good thing that you're saying here, because this is sometimes it takes one conversation, doesn't it,
Yep.
to sort of change everything in a
Yep.
heartbeat. Obviously, your friend come into your life at a moment where, you were starting to move forwards. So for people listening in, just knowing that sometimes it can take one person to sort of come into your life, provide an opportunity that may not be career driven. It could be just a challenge for you. And you
Mhm.
might resent it. But then if you just think, do you know what? Just say yes.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll give it a go. And
Mhm.
especially if someone's doing it with you, it's an accountability buddy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, look at what this has obviously brought to life for you. It's insane.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you'd think, just a running challenge, it would just be strictly almost like personal growth. But I mean,
Mm.
it helped so much in the business aspect as well, because I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's so intertwined, I've found. So yeah.
Okay. So I like where this is sort of heading then. So you're saying about how it's intertwined. So like your personal performance kind of correlates into your business performance.
Hmm.
So what's that sort of brought to you in your business from actually, personal performance and looking after yourself first?
Yeah. So there's a book, he's actually British. I can't remember his name, but have you heard of the book, The 10-Second Philosophy?
And who's that by? I need to
I
know
will.
now. You'll have to
Okay,
let
I'll
me
have to
know.
Google him. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I'll send
yeah.
it to you.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
anyway,
Yeah.
his story is amazing. So I guess also too, like I will take a step back. In when I started to run, I used to just like in the very beginning listen to like music, but then I kind of transitioned into self mastery books and kind of diving into that. So that has compounded on top of like I'm outside running every day with also kind of personal growth. And I didn't like set out to do that. It just kind of happened.
Hmm.
I think it was listening to probably David's book as I first started running, and then it just kind of spiraled up from there in a great way. But there's another book called The 10-Second Philosophy, and he talks about he was just living like working 16 hours a day, never seeing his family. He was struggling, like he was a financial advisor at the bottom. And he came up with a set of daily standards. And
Okay.
like it kind of goes to his goals, but not in like that goal setting type of way. It was just these things he does every day. And same thing, they were some personal, some professional, but because they're so intertwined. And I really liked that. I adopted that a while ago. And so just having my daily standards has helped both aspects of my life, so personal and business. And I just have found that to be such a great kind of thing I can go back to of like, oh yeah, this is what I want. Because when you feel good on either one, it kind of spills over into the other.
I mean, I'm like nodding my head here, like absolutely yes. I agree with you completely, Nicole. I'm a big advocate for obviously serving yourself first, so you can serve others, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, would you be open to share your standards? Like, what are your standards day to day?
Yeah. And some days I don't hit all of them, but
Of
that's
course, we're
part of
human.
it. Yeah, exactly. It's getting up early before my kids are up to just kind of get my own kind of mental thing going. And I just really like the quiet. I have even like different foods that I'll eat because if I don't think about it, I'll just kind of naturally graze. So if I have it written out of like, salad for lunch and eggs for whatever. So then there's even like red light therapy, stretching, the running is on there too. I really like to check things off, but that doesn't really need to be on there because it's such a part of my life now.
Yeah, it's still fulfilling.
Yeah, exactly. But then it goes into like business weekly. Like, have I reached out to 10 people? Like, whether I've worked with them before or maybe it's new outreach. And then I do like inspired action. So, different things in my business, like whether it's, like being a podcast or promoting my podcast, there's different goals that I set each week.
Hmm.
But yeah, the daily standards, I guess, per se, are, getting up early, the things I eat, moving my body, and then those different business kind of goals that I have for that week.
Yeah. So obviously you're talking about anchor points, routines, standards. I think it's something that, I mean, I'm not saying people who are probably in a job do this, but I think it's the importance of it once you're sort of running your own business or in a transition, it's sort of even more important, isn't
Definitely.
it?
Yeah. And so that's kind of how he did it as well. He was working a full time job and he still made these daily standards. One was like picking up his
Nice.
kids twice a week, and then he also put him professionally to where he was able to leave his 9 to 5 eventually, but by following his kind of daily standards that worked for him. So it's a great book.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, obviously, you've said it, the 10-second philosophy. So we'll have to sort of plug that link in
Hmm.
on the show notes as well, alongside obviously this episode, because it might be good for these guys, listening in who are probably, I want to get out of my job, but I do struggle with time, managing my standards, whatever it is. So hearing obviously what you've gone through as well and being able to create and do what you're doing, I think is, well, let's put it this way, it's like the 1%, basically. And I think just going back to something that you really said, I mean, I really stand by these two distinctions when it comes to mindset. Obviously, you've got the victim and the owner. So
Hmm.
you had been accustomed and been so surrounded by victim and scarcity rather than the owner and abundance
Hmm.
mindset. So what did you expose yourself to, or who came into your life that helped you
Yeah.
shift from victim and scarcity to go into the owner and abundance?
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of an interesting combination. So, like I said, I've really resonated with how David Goggins is like, no bullshit, pretty rigid,
Yeah, yeah.
like things like that. Jocko Willink, like a lot of these like kind of military guys that are very rigid. But then on the other end of it, I came across books like The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, The Science of Getting Rich, The Power Within. So almost more of like a Dr. Joe Dispenza, like
Yeah,
they're,
he's good.
yeah. And those two, so marrying those kind of different, almost like philosophical type things with military has really worked for me. So, and it's funny, I can tell where my mind's at depending on like what I feel like listening to, Jocko Willing today, or am I going to listen to like Wallace D. Waddles? Very different from each other. But yeah, just learning all that. And again, I wasn't ever really exposed to, like we have the power to make what we want. Like it'll take work, but that's fine, and it takes not giving up. It takes accountability and showing up for yourself and not putting it on anybody else, like, so yeah, that was just a combination of listening to a lot of those different types of books while I'm getting out every day is what really helped me.
Yeah, so movement, but yeah, this is really good. So obviously, you didn't really get exposed to it. You sort of, I guess, you transitioned into it. But
Yeah.
I just want to know mentally because I love sort of people's minds in these, I guess moments that, I mean, to be honest with you, probably 99% of people, Nicole, in those moments that you was struggling at that time where you'd had a lot of loss, a lot of pain, would have shut out, would have sort of rejected it and not allowed it to come in. What allowed you to let it in, to sort of accept, I'm going to start doing more of this?
Yeah. It might have been because I felt possibly so empty at that point. You know what I mean? Like I had lost the business, lost both parents. Just I don't know that I don't know, just being so, I guess, empty and open to something else. And like that challenge kind of hit at the right time. The universe is pretty amazing when it sends things that you're not even really ready for. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was that. Because I mean, there was nowhere else but up, kind of, for me at that point.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And I think just the piece on emptiness, it's a common thing. So for you to then go, something's got to change, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. You let in sort of the personal development world. You started obviously aspiring to these people. You had a bit of the no bullshit, but also the sort of wisdom and knowledge coming into your world. So when you decided to set up your marketing agency, just going back to that business that failed, what was sort of going through your mind? Because was there any doubt? Was there any, I don't know whether I can do a business again and set up, or did you sort of have all this confidence?
Yeah. So no, I did not have confidence.
Good to know.
Yeah,
I love the rawness. Yeah.
exactly. So we closed the farm, and then I actually went and worked for a digital marketing agency from somebody that I knew from high school with his younger brother. And so I was there for almost 2 years. And then my dad actually passed away. And that's when I was like, all right, life is really short. I've been in entrepreneurship before. Again, I didn't really think I was going to be an entrepreneur, but I really liked it when we were doing the farm. And so, and, also just seeing how quickly things can change. So it was like, all right, let's just go for it. Like, you've learned the tools by working at a marketing agency. But yeah, I kind of was when it was. I was like, life's short. Let's go.
Yeah. So you jumped in the deep end, and obviously it's really interesting to hear sort of, the confidence wasn't, at an all-time high, but you did think about life through experience you've been through, such as, look, we only here once.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you worked yourself through that fear. You went in, you just did it. So what do you think most people sort of struggle with when setting up a business? What do you think's the sort of main thing that holds people back?
Yeah, I think, and because I hadn't gone through the challenge yet at that point either, but
Right. Okay.
yeah, I think we all feel like we have to have everything figured out. Like, we have to know exactly how it's going to turn out. We have to know how
Yeah.
to perfectly do things. And I didn't know that either. And I obviously didn't have a marketing agency, but I think I felt a little bit more confident because I had the farm before. So I had a little bit of an idea of what it takes to, run your own business.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
still, same thing. And every day it was like, I don't really know what I'm doing because this is totally different than what I did before. But we as humans, we adapt, as we go along. And I do see that. And I still see that myself. Like, I want to have the perfect plan. I want to know, when I'm gonna hit this. And I think a lot of us get stuck in that and not taking that leap of trusting ourselves to kind of figure it out as we go.
Yeah, it's sort of the unknown, isn't it? Jumping
Yeah.
into the unknown with that.
Mhm.
So when you decided to take that leap back in 2016 to start your own marketing agency, how did that feel when you sort of went in for it and it was like, this is happening?
Yeah. Exciting and scary all at the same time, because yeah, I think I was definitely, I can remember the day that I wrote the guy that I was working with, and I was like, I'm going to do this on my own. And it was liberating, but it was also terrifying. But yeah, I mean, that's entrepreneurship, I feel like.
Well, it is entrepreneurship. Did you have any clients lined up, or did you just go in from zero and build up? Or
Yeah, no, I started from zero. I just kind
that's
of
amazing.
told people who I knew. I still have some of those same clients that I got as referrals from people that they knew.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I think that's cool. So if you was to sort of like pull Nicole out and then you look at yourself right now, what would you say is sort of one of your best traits as a business owner then?
traits. I think it's like my relationship building with my clients, and just really that's who I put first, like even more so than like everybody's like, why don't you market your business? I'm like, well, because I'm busy marketing everybody else's. Just really going all in for my clients, I think has kind of been, again, that's why I've had some since 2016, multiple.
Wow. That's amazing. So you're very good at building relationships. Obviously, your client retention and the lifetime value of each client is obviously really, really high.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody was in the marketing industry, there's obviously people now that are probably not even say out there on social media, and they sort of maybe just going, oh, do you know what, if I have to start this side hustle or business, oh my gosh, I've got to like put myself out there, and I don't know what to post, I don't know how to start,
Mm-hmm.
but they already don't know what to do with the business. And then they're also
Yeah.
fearing, like you say, the next step of marketing and putting themselves out there, a name, a message. But you found a way, right? You found a way where, all right, you're sort of like saying to myself and the audience that your clients are doing the heavy lifting for you in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely get a lot of referrals and word of mouth, which is great. I mean, there's other stuff that I do too, but I do think that is where most business owners get, or anybody that even wants to start a business, things like that. We get hung up in like the how to instead of just, getting started. And again, too, like the crux of effective marketing has always been like building relationships, so reaching out to people, or spending the time where they're at, kind of thinking about like what they're going through and what they're struggling, that really helps people kind of get their ideas of what they should be posting going, and then that kind of grows once you can kind of see what's working and not.
This is really good, and it's honest as well. And I think a lot of people even here will kind of relate to this. Maybe some will relate to this further down their journey. So for you, obviously, you're a creator. I think we all are. Well,
Mhm.
I say we
Totally.
all creators. We want to be creators. I mean, we're creative as kids, and then sort of we might get conditioned and dim our creativity.
Hmm.
Where do you find yourself at your most creative?
Actually, when I write, and I don't write as much as I should,
Okay.
because I write for Entrepreneur, but I should do it a lot more often. It just takes me forever. But once I get in that flow, it's fantastic. But it's hard for me to get my brain out of all of the other things that I'm doing just to get into that kind of creative flow.
Right. So when you say writing, what do you write about?
I actually wrote about David Goggins' challenge on there. I
No.
write about
Yeah.
like building a personal brand.
Yes.
Yes, some mindset tips, some marketing stuff too. It's funny because the readers, actually, I wrote about some of the books that I was just talking about too. Those both times I've written about 3 books that helped me hit specific like monetary goals. Those have
Uh-huh.
always hit number one on Entrepreneur. That's what people want to hear about, which is pretty neat
I know.
because
Yeah, yeah.
we want to learn, right?
Of
So
course, of course.
yeah.
So what's one of those? So if there's somebody sort of listening right now and like I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be a solopreneur, I want to be a dadpreneur or whatever. What would you say would be the first sort of exposure or book to read? I know we've already shared one, or piece of information that would be a good take on just to give you that sense of what it could be like.
Yeah. I'd say the first one, and that's kind of the one that I stumbled on first too, was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
It's
yeah,
like such a nice
yeah, yeah.
intro to, yeah, and then it leads to a slippery slope of awesomeness. But yeah, that's a great one to start with.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. And when did you? And I love this because I just know so many people are going to take so much value from this. When did you sort of deem yourself or know within you that I am an entrepreneur?
Oh man. I don't even know. Probably somewhat recently.
Okay.
Even, I don't know. Like I said, I never really quite pictured it, and that wasn't really what I wanted to do in life, but it's funny how life takes you places. But yeah, I mean, I guess in the last few years. So again, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since 2007, but I
Mm.
think it took me a while to really realize, like, oh yeah, okay, this is what we're doing forever, and we can do it, no matter what happens. So
Yeah. Who do you think you've become as a person as a result of falling into this entrepreneur world?
yeah, I think I've become a stronger person. I think I've become a little more vulnerable being an entrepreneur and doing things and sharing your story, like even like right now, things like that. But it's been really neat to share it with people and however I can along the way. But yeah, more compassionate because, seeing what we all go through is hard. And like just being proud of other people of doing it too.
Brilliant. I think the entrepreneur world, or just even like being in business, it can sort of be, I guess, the front of, oh, it's serious. We've got to make money, want more
Yeah.
freedom, all that kind of stuff. But we are human, and
Hmm.
at the end of the day, we still find that life's a roller coaster, and there is tough moments, and there is adversity, and things like that. If you was to sort of recall a moment, or maybe an experience in your entrepreneurial journey that was a a moment of where maybe that self-doubt crept back in, or maybe you thought, I don't know whether I'm cut out for this. Was there a moment throughout the past 9 years that you felt that way?
Yeah. So when I have a podcast as well. I almost canceled like the first 6 because I was like, who am I to be doing this? Like, I just have a
Really?
camera in my closet, but I've met amazing people that I'm like still good friends with 6 years later. And then also too, and I think for me, it's anytime I try to do something a little bit different in my business. So like, I've done the agency for a while. That does like I understand it. And so the podcast was new, so that scared me. So I kind of almost like backed off from that. And then 2 years ago, I started like a community and a course, which I still took forever to kind of launch, even though given I'm a marketing person. Same thing. That crept back in. Like, what are you doing? Maybe you should just do it for people and not try to teach them. So it's kind of just whenever something new comes up, but then also kind of sitting back and being like, okay, well, where are these feelings coming from? Like, are these real? Blah, blah, blah. So kind of like a little pep talk, I guess, and then continuing to go forward.
It sounds it sounds a little bit like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when you're sort of starting something new. So this is really good because you've got skin in the game now. You've been in business 9 years, well, longer than that. Obviously, you had a business before that, and that obviously had to close its doors. And then now you've got this marketing agency, but you've got different strands now to the business. And also, you've acquired a team. So you've had to sort of bring people in. So that's amazing. So what sort of got you to a stage where, you sort of had to start looking at expanding out the business?
Yeah. Just kind of got to a point of where I couldn't kind of keep doing it all on my own, like as much I think as we want to. And we're, as entrepreneurs, we're gritty for sure. It's like, oh, I can just do that too. It got to a point where it was a lot. And so I just kind of realized I couldn't do it all. But then there was a pushback from myself of that's scary, like that's an investment. What if something goes wrong? But then once I did, I think a lot of solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, we kind of start small, maybe it's like a little like one contractor. I had 2 writers, mainly because of all of the content that we produce for our clients. So I started with that. And then I moved into like an assistant, and then I moved into a graphic designer. So for me, it was easier to kind of do it in increments, but it was still scary, but I can only do so much. And then I think in the beginning for me, I didn't have as great. I was like not that there's per se a work-life balance, but I was going all in like we all do in the beginning to get it going.
Of course.
But that was also starting to get tiresome. So at those different points of like, okay, I need to get help, or, we won't grow more, and I'm, missing out on really cool things. So, but yeah, it's scary, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah. So did you hit burnout, or did you just feel tired and exhausted, would you say?
Yeah, I just felt tired and exhausted.
Yeah. And then from your first hire was 2 writers. Right. Cool. So just so that people understand the teamwork ethic, what sort of difference did that, because we're talking about, if we go back a little bit earlier on in the episode, we was talking about personal performance, we was talking about business performance. What difference did that make to those aspects and your own standards as well, having a bit of delegation there?
Yeah. So personally, my standards kind of started to slump, because I was just not able to keep all of the balls in the air.
Common. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was able, to have better, not that the quality was bad, but it was just because I was being stretched in so many ways. I had 2 writers come in with fresh eyes, a lot more time on their hands. So the quality became even better. And that would clients were excited, and then, telling their friends. And so that's how I even got like a rush of more clients as I was able to open up a little bit more room on my end with them. And then, like the law of, what is that, vacuum or whatever, more things were able to come in once we expanded a little bit.
Okay. So this is really good. So just for the audience to understand is that in business, right, wherever you are, there's going to be moments where you're pushing, you're really going for it. You're all in. And that may mean that your personal standards drop a little bit. You can't juggle everything, as a business. I know you're doing loads of different things and you're sort of wearing so many different hats. Whereas maybe in your employed role, you've got one role, one responsibility, or maybe a couple. Then you obviously took that scary leap going, oh no, this is my business. It's my baby. I don't want to share it. I know I can do it. But then you thought, no, actually, if I want to achieve my goal, because you do your daily goal setting and stuff like that in order to go there, I've got to sort of let go. I've got to take a bit of a risk. and it was scary. You brought somebody in, but actually, when you looked at the long term, it made it back 5 times more or 10 times more, you know?
Yep.
And I think it's important for people to, understand that here, that it's a bit of like a speculate to accumulate in a way.
Yeah, totally. And in the beginning, like right when it happens, it's like, oh God, what did I just do? But then, you keep moving.
Yeah. So if you look at that experience then, because I just know so many people will probably experience this, and I know I have, because I'd built a team myself. I knew that sort of feeling of, I don't know whether I want to let anyone, sort of have any, I don't know if I can trust anybody.
Yeah.
What would you say you've learned like most about your business and like yourself having built a team? What have you sort of learned?
Yeah. So I learned I was a little bit more controlling than I thought I was. So yeah, that's been really neat to just kind of, understand, be self-aware. Like I really enjoyed having a team, because like in the beginning too, like as a solopreneur, it gets really lonely, like, and we're
Yeah.
grinding and doing all that. And so I realized of myself too, like I like having people that I work with. What seemed scary at first is like, now I've got these really cool people in my lives that I get to pay them too. It's a ripple effect in their lives. Like that's been really awesome.
Yeah, I like that. I think where you just touched on that lonely piece, I think it's quite big
Mm-hmm.
in the business world. You'd feel that maybe because you're sort of free in a way
Yeah.
that you can create what you want to create, but then you can feel a little bit isolated, a little bit trapped, because when you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, it can be quite lonely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you're free, but I have nobody to talk to. Like I don't have anybody to work with. I don't have anybody like, to like bounce ideas off of, or get support, things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is good. So you sort of had your support from your team. I guess you built like a business community there. In business or outside of business, did you sort of join or be a part of any other communities to have a bit of a balance there?
Yeah, definitely. So we do y'all have like chambers of commerce? I would
We
imagine.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So where I live, I'm on the border of 2 states of Oregon and Washington. So it's funny, we have a bunch of little chambers because we have different counties, even though we're all like 20 minutes from each other. So I joined a few of those. A few of them they haven't quite bounced back since COVID, unfortunately, but I'm still a member. But so that in-person networking, I've always enjoyed that, just connecting with people. And then I was also a member of BNI for a few years.
Yeah, that's big in the UK as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was good. I still have friends and stuff that I keep in from there, but I don't know, the time commitment on that one I didn't super love. And then there's a few other entrepreneur groups that I'm a part of. But yeah, so yeah, I try to network, and I have a lot of business owners on my podcast as well, so that's been really cool too.
Yeah. How important do you feel for business owners to sort of build a community and a network and I say get out there?
Oh, I think it's extremely important. Yeah. Just being able to talk to other people that are going through what we're going through, share struggles, share wins, just, connection. Even if you do have a team, it's still just nice to kind of talk to other people that are also trying to build their business. It's just a different perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing for you is just being around other business owners.
Mm-hmm.
What have you sort of taken away as an insight for you that's sort of been quite impactful in your business?
Just that sense of community. Like I didn't realize how much I really missed it. So in the beginning few years, I wasn't part of these groups, and again, I was just building and trying to get going. I think an issue that I had in the beginning, we'd all kind of say like what's working for us, but then I've learned to kind of filter that out. I don't, what works for them might not really work for my business, but it's still cool to like be able to communicate and bounce
Yeah.
ideas off of each other, but not necessarily do everything that everybody else is doing, because all of our businesses are so unique. But that was one of the biggest things. But yeah, just being able to connect and help, and give inspiration when some people are down, being able to like help lift them back up, and vice versa, things like that.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's a safe space, isn't it? For people
Yeah.
to sort of, hey, I'm going through what you're going through, or oh no, totally get it. That's something I, I love community, and I think community is sort of like, I don't want to say, in my opinion anyway, I don't think like networking's going away, because it's not, but I feel like it's sort of community now, even though it's
Yeah.
networking, it's sort of community. I think networking can sort of have a bit of a, I don't know, in a way for me anyway, networking in say England could be very like, here's a business card. There's an exchange involved,
Yeah.
or at least there's that pressure around it, like, oh, what's in it for me, or what am I going to get? Whereas if you just say community, it's more, oh, I'm sharing a common interest, but it's still a business community, if that makes sense. So you'll still help each other out without sort of loads of pressure.
Totally. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like sports. You have your team. They're there to support you. We're all there to like go in a common way. But yeah, I understand what you're saying too about the networking and yeah, the whole here's my elevator pitch for 30 seconds. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of going away.
Yeah, it is. I think it's sort of because that's the short, sharp, punchy stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas again, even like what we're doing here, obviously you've ran a podcast, you've had business owners on there. Like you say, they're still friends today. So he's
Mhm.
like built those relationships through a podcast. Hence, I'm kind of the same. The reason I set up this sort of space was to battle my own loneliness, but also to help business owners sort of come together. And actually, naturally off the back of this, it's building a community without me saying I wanted to build a community anyway, you know?
Totally. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And I think that's what's cool about spaces like this. For you, as a business owner, I think just people as well, I know what sort of how overwhelming it can be to sort of go from a very sort of, I know when I'm clocking in at work and I know when I'm clocking off from work. And then you're sort of
Mhm.
going into this world where it's, what do I do? Or how do I structure my day and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What sort of really helped you stay focused in your day-to-day sort of business performance, KPIs or activities what's kept you sort of focused on that rather than like that overwhelm and not knowing sort of what you're
Yeah.
doing day to day?
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, it took me a little while to just kind of realize and be aware of my rhythms, of when
Yeah,
I
yeah,
felt most creative. Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily fit into 9 to 5 for me. And so if I can get up at 4:30 and knock so much stuff out, and things like that. And then sometimes I'll even come back at night if I feel like it. But in the olden days, I used to, or if like somebody would email me at 11 o'clock at night, I'd respond. Learning boundaries as well
yes,
with clients. Yeah. Took me a little longer than it should have, but that's a game changer. But yeah. And I think too, just, yeah, moving daily had also just kind of having that structure of like when I'm going to work, when I'm going to kind of move, when I have to do other errands or things like that. And then just kind of experimenting until I figured out what worked for me. Like you said, it can feel overwhelming and not quite sure what to do. And then it's like, oh, I should be working from 9 to 5. But, that is part of the freedom that we wanted when we started our own thing. So just kind of start noticing what works for you.
yeah, absolutely. I think that's a common thing, isn't it? Like you sort of, the reason you leave your like 9 till 5 is so that you have more time and
Hmm.
you have more freedom, but then you can soon realize, and obviously you said early on that it probably at moments it wasn't sort of more time back, it was sort of more time in for a period to sort of get things moving forwards. And I don't think people necessarily know or realize that when they sort of jump in the deep end.
Definitely. And yeah, and I think too, I was busy a lot in the beginning too.
Right.
I don't know if I was necessarily being super productive, but I was doing things. So then it also too, just same thing of being aware, like what am I really doing and how can I make it more efficient and more effective?
Yeah, yeah. And I think what I like about what you said though is you said it quite a couple of times now about, look, it's kind of happened over time. You
Yes.
know what? So I mean, a lot of people, I mean, they might think, yeah, it's got to happen now. It's sort of like, what's
Mhm.
the rush? You've sort of got to learn about yourself. You've got to learn maybe your particularly people that you're going to want to maybe work with, or the product that you're trying to build and create. So for you, then obviously you're in this entrepreneur world, and we know as entrepreneurs or as business owners, it's when it's your baby, when it's your passion, when it's your purpose, it really is hard to sort of switch off.
Yeah.
To sort of boundary it off. I don't believe that you truly switch off anyway. I just
Yeah.
don't think that's even, there's no point in even saying that you can.
Mhm.
But what sort of helps you just take your mind off work for it, even if it's a couple of hours? What's your sort of go to?
Yeah, kind of like, well, now that my kids are older, like they have a lot of after school activities and watching sports and stuff like that. And that's really fun. And in the beginning, same thing. I would have my phone and my notebook, like say if it was at a baseball game. And now I'm able to, and again, too, like you said, this all comes with time and understanding and, just like we all like time helps a lot of things. But yeah, I'm able to just completely check out and be able to be there so presently. So that's been awesome. And then, yeah, like I said, movement throughout the day. And then sometimes, yeah, like at night, like I don't really watch a lot of TV, but I'll throw on like an old show that I've watched before and just kind of like zone out, and not have to think about things.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have sort of downtime. What do you love doing though? Like, do you have a hobby now, or is there anything that you do creatively that's not, it might enhance your work, but just sort of, yeah, what gets you
Well, soccer season just started again, so I'll be playing a lot of soccer. That's
Oh, you
definitely
still play?
I've been playing since I was
Oh,
4. So
no way. Awesome.
yeah,
Oh,
so that's
cool.
fun.
So did you play at a good level or?
I played in college. I played at a Division 1 college. So
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, so that was fun. I just did a minier version of a Goggins challenge this weekend to raise money for a soccer team around here, which has been super fun. And then the other thing that I did start like a second podcast. I haven't really talked a lot about it, and it's kind
Okay.
of based off of the daily standards I was talking about, but with the acronym of winning. So like worthiness, inspired action, net worth, things like that. And that's been like a passion project. So it's like kind of business related, but it's mainly just for just yeah.
No way. Okay, this is cool then. So football, what position do you play? Or soccer, should I say?
I play midfield.
Brilliant. Best position on pitch. Right footer or left footer?
Mm-hmm. Either.
Either. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh. Talented. There you go. Gosh, I
I'd say
was.
I'm more right-footed, but yeah, it can be either.
Nah, that's good. Good talent there. So what does it make you feel like when you step over the white line on a football pitch? Well, I keep saying football, but soccer pitch.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, 40 years later, like still like the butterflies of just excitement, but just love of the game. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
something about being on a soccer field. I can't quite explain it.
Yeah. Because for me, no, I mean, look, listen, I
Did you
knew
play
when
too?
yeah, but I think it's just sort of like my phone was away. It was a disconnect period. And I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, just being around other guys on the pitch, bit of banter flying about, bit of aggression,
Yep.
just sort of contact. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
a good way to relieve a bit of stress. Not like take it out on people, but just to sort
Right.
of
Yeah.
run around and burn off some energy sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's such a fun sport too. Like you never know what's gonna happen. Yeah, crazy things can happen, and yeah, it's just a great time.
Does your team win a lot?
We do. We've
That's good.
won. Yeah. So I play co-ed. Yeah, my team's awesome. My really good friend, he like recruits for our team. So out of the last like 4 seasons, I think we've won 3.
Wow. Okay, so that actually is good then, because if you're winning a lot and now you've got a podcast that's winning.
Yep. Exactly.
Epic. And I love the acronym as well. So what decided, because obviously you've already got a podcast, what made you think, do you know what, I want to spin off another one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just kind of all of this same stuff that we're talking about, kind of like our life journeys. And so what I've kind of learned along the way, and it's really interesting because it makes me feel really slightly uncomfortable because I'm not the greatest at communicating it, but I want more people to understand that they have total control of their lives, even if it feels like you might not at that any given moment, and what we can do to keep doing stuff like that. So, and the worthiness aspect, like the abundance, things like that. And I see too, a lot of younger kids these days too struggling with things like this, especially ones, I don't know, like sports isn't how it was when we grew up.
No.
And I understand, like, we do want to play to have fun. That's great. Winning makes you feel good too. And like, that's the whole point of a sport. And I don't know, it just kind of like blurring all of these lines of maybe, because my kids are, coming into that age where they're going to start dealing with other things. And so
Yeah.
I just want maybe them to have a strong foundation too. And anybody else too that's going through anything. So.
No, I think that's good. And I absolutely agree. Like, winning's a big part of it, right? I mean, I think now it's always seems like everybody's equal, or you still
Right.
win if you came last. It's like, no, listen,
But you didn't.
there's not 3 first place, there's 1, and that's it.
Right.
You know?
And that's okay, right?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
want to work hard to get to it.
Yeah, you want to be the top 1, not the top 3, but like 3 top 1s. If you got a podium, it's sort of like there's the number 1 up here, 2, 3. They're not up together, That's
Exactly.
just 2 people standing on a gold podium don't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense. And if you're in third and you want to be in first, like you have to work harder,
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that's also, softened our sort of society a little bit mentally, as well. There's no sort of get up and go fire sort of thing, which I'm seeing in the younger generation. And obviously I'm going to look at our daughter coming through where, yeah, it's sort of being able to teach those values of hard work, discipline, and understand that, yeah, like you've either got it or you haven't, or this sort of way, you can work around it. It's just, yeah, I feel this. I mean, we could make another podcast episode about that.
Right, exactly.
But what I wanted to ask you was, what made you say? Because I heard you say like I'm not I'm not a great communicator in sharing your life. What makes you say that?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't, because sometimes it's hard for me, I guess, to really communicate the feelings that I have gone through over these last few years. I mean, I can tell my story, but I guess I just would like to be a little bit better of sharing how impactful it has been, so other people that, maybe going through some really hard times can also feel that. So,
I think you're communicating it fine. Great.
okay. Oh, good. Okay. Maybe that's just, obviously in my head.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, honestly, Nicole, I could tell like a bit hesitant, obviously, with some of the parts. Like maybe it was a bit more of a shorter answer, and then but the whole point is, I think more you sort of know it's actually saying it really well and it's coming through. It'll just come through more and more naturally because
Mm-hmm.
I think your story anyway, and I'm sure most people who's sort of listening at this part of the episode will say that how you've navigated as well and who you've become. I think that's the big part, the who, not the how. Who you've become as a result of this sort of period in your life, I think would be more than inspired.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, you could have easily just played victim. You could have easily just stayed in that victim mindset and just hit the F it button and gone,
Yep.
do you know what? There's no point in me even trying to live anymore because I've lost two really, really close people in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
So becoming a dad back in 2023 has definitely been challenging at times. Being on this entrepreneur journey, having multiple businesses, it can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. One way to kick off your personal development journey is nestled in the heart of Montenegro. Syro Boca Place offers more than just a lifestyle experience. It is the ultimate active lifestyle hotel. Whether you're looking to rejuvenate in this state-of-the-art recovery lab, take a dip in the 25-meter half Olympic pool with a retractable roof, or explore the stunning trails of Boca Bay, there is something for everyone. And if you're like me, who wants to stay active and experience what is on offer. So if you're looking to elevate your travel experience and feel better than when you arrived, to get in on the experience, head over to www.syrohotels.com. And they'll be proud of you now.
Thank you. They
really, really will. So do you know what I think? Because we are sort of getting towards the end of the episode. I was just looking. I was like, oh my days! Like this is sort of a nice little rounding piece to finish on. So look, I ask every guest this question. I want to ask it you as well because I think it's going to be nice to hear your perspective. Because we've even spoken about perspective today anyway on this episode. So Nicole, what does mastering your life mean to you?
That is a good question. Mastering my life. I think just being, joyful and peaceful and helping people and leaving a legacy for my kids and living a long, happy life, both personally and professionally.
Yeah, I like that. So what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, yeah, same thing. I want my kids to know that they can do whatever they put their mind to, that they can get through hard things. And yeah, also just, when my parents passed away, they didn't quite leave a great financial picture to look at. So breaking that kind of pattern, I guess, in my family, so my kids can continue to do whatever they want to do, but in a really great way that whatever they want to do.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that. Do they know that?
I don't think I've actually said it to them in that way, but now that they're getting older, I should.
Yeah, I definitely think that'd be I know it's quite serious, but I think that'd be a nice piece to share with them.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. Because they're great and we've even got them like their little debit cards recently and they have to do things for it and stuff like that. So we're teaching them that, which is great. But yeah, that next level, I definitely should.
Yeah, I think so. Because obviously you're sort of on this path, you're expanding and hearing a bit about where your life's journey is going. I think, yeah, it just brings them in as well, right? Sort of that more teamwork ethic.
Yep. Totally. And it's funny, even if it was like a few months ago, it was the middle of winter and it was dark and rainy and I didn't feel like going. I even said that to my son. I think it was like Christmas break. And he was like, well, I mean, what would David Goggins say? And I was like, so like they are like they're paying more attention than I realize. So
of course.
So yeah, of course I went and ran in the rain, but
that's brilliant. That is so good. I like that. That's a good question there from your son. So look, if people on this episode are wanting to sort of find out more about what you do, find out where they can connect with you maybe, or even maybe initiate a conversation, have a chat and say a few words off the back of this episode, where's the best place?
Yeah. That would be my website. It's just nb.marketing, like no .com or anything like that. There's some free freebies on there that, kind of help people figure out, their marketing foundation, things like that are just helpful for newer business owners or people that are really trying to kind of shake up their marketing a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be the best place.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will make sure that link goes in the show notes so people can click directly to that. And I love the fact that you're adding value as well. They've got opportunities there to sort of soak up your experience as a business owner to help them start theirs. But final thing from me, Nicole, thank you so much. So our time zones are very different, but thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been such a great conversation. I appreciate it.
I know. Thank you so much.